A woman has been jailed for 8.5 years after being found guilty of lying about being raped and trafficked by an Asian grooming gang and making false rape claims against a series of other men. Eleanor Williams, 22, from Barrow-in-Furness was convicted in January of 9 counts of perverting the course of justice. Sentencing her at Preston Crown Court on Tuesday, the judge, Mr. Justice Altham, said her allegations were complete fiction and criticized her for showing no significant signs of remorse. Her claims went viral during lockdown in May 2020 when she posted photographs of herself on Facebook covered in shocking bruises, with a black eye and a partially severed finger. She said she had been beaten and made to attend sex parties by evil yet clever Asian men, mostly Pakistani business owners. The allegations soon spread far beyond Cumbria and sparked a global solidarity campaign, Justice for Ellie, with more than 100,000 Facebook members. It had its own line of merchandise, featuring a purple elephant, and prompted rallies all over the UK, amid allegations of a police cover-up. Cumbria police recorded 151 crimes linked to the case in 2020, including malicious communications and harassment, as well as criminal damage and public order offenses. Hate crimes tripled in Barrow that summer. In a letter to the judge on Tuesday, Williams maintained her innocence but said she was sorry and devastated at how her Facebook post affected Barrow. "I understand that it's your job to believe the jury's verdict, and that's okay. I know I have made some mistakes. I'm sorry. I know it's no excuse, but I was young and confused," she wrote. "I'm not saying I'm guilty, but I know I have done wrong on some of this, and I'm sorry. I'm devastated at the trouble that has been caused in Barrow. If I knew what consequences would have come from that status, I never would have posted it." The judge said Williams held limited responsibility for the community tensions resulting from her Facebook post. "Some community impact was foreseeable," he said. But he said the consequences of her lies for the criminal justice system were far-reaching, adding, "There is a risk that genuine victims will be reluctant as a result of this to come forward." Despite the focus on Asian groomers, by the time Williams made her Facebook post, she had been charged with multiple counts of perverting the course of justice. But Williams reserved her wildest allegations for a Barrow businessman, Mohammed Ramzan, known locally as M.O. Rami. Ramzan, now 43, told Preston Crown Court he had only met Williams once, briefly, at a family party. Williams said he was in fact the head of an international grooming gang, who first had sex with her aged 12 or 13, and then trafficked her and dozens of other girls around northwest England and abroad. Trengove, Gardner, and Ramzan all said they tried to kill themselves as a result of being falsely accused. Trengove and Ramzan were in court on Tuesday to see Williams sentenced. Outside court, jurors, who had been invited to return for the hearing, hugged the men and shook their hands. Williams thanked the judge after he passed sentence, then waved goodbye to her sister, Lucy, and mother, Alison Johnston. Lucy gave evidence for the prosecution after Williams claimed that she had been trafficked by Ramzan to Amsterdam and sold at a brothel to the highest bidder. In fact, the sisters had gone together to Amsterdam to celebrate Williams' 18th birthday. Williams had 6 mobile phones she used to create fake identities and manipulated the Snapchat accounts of real men she had met via the dating app Tinder, or subscribers to her account on OnlyFans, the erotic photo-sharing site, to make them look like they were Asian abusers. Police were able to prove that one Snapchat account that purported to belong to Trengove, and which seemed to be goading her about the rapes, had in fact been created using the Wi-Fi at the Williams family home on Walney Island in Barrow. Williams gave police a list of 60 girls, half from Cumbria and half from elsewhere, who she said had been pimped out by Ramzan's gang. But when police knocked on the girls' doors, they were met with blank faces. One of them, Chloe, not her real name, told The Guardian of her confusion at being confronted with the suggestion she had been groomed and abused with Williams, who was in the year above her at Walney School in Barrow. "I had the police round out of the blue. They said I was named by Ellie Williams, that I was at these parties in Morecambe and Preston. Not the case at all," said Chloe, now 21. She said she had been on one night out with Williams and, though she knew her to say hi, was not a close friend. "It's very weird how she mentioned my name." Even so, Chloe was as shocked as everyone else in Barrow when she saw Williams' Facebook post in May 2020. She still struggles to believe her injuries were self-inflicted, as a forensic pathologist concluded they were, with a hammer Williams bought from Tesco a few days earlier. Chloe bought a Justice for Ellie t-shirt and joined several solidarity protests. Everyone had something of justice for Ellie. Everyone. And if it wasn't on you, it was on your car or on the front of your house. She says she feels stupid to have joined the rallies for someone who made up so many lies. It got very nasty very quickly. Trengove had rapist spray-painted on the side of his house. Ramzan received more than 500 death threats and had to leave Barrow for months. A reporter also left the town temporarily on police advice after receiving dozens of threats in response to a report she wrote about Williams' first court appearance. Indian restaurant owners in the town repeatedly had their windows smashed after a list circulated on Snapchat purporting to show businesses complicit in Williams' abuse. One Muslim restaurateur, who asked not to be named, said he lost at least £80,000 worth of custom after being named on the list. Orders dropped from 70 to 80 a night to 2 or 3, and he was pursued down the street by people on skateboards who used the P-word and sprayed beer in his face. During Williams' sentencing hearing at Preston Crown Court, Judge Altham asked if the prosecution was asking him to sentence on the basis that the offenses were motivated by racial hatred. Jonathan Sandiford KC said no, noting the jury had heard evidence of Williams' affectionate and emotional relationship with at least one Asian man. The court heard Williams continued to maintain her innocence and that 2 psychiatrists had been unable to diagnose her with the disorder. But one, Dr. Lucy Bacon, said she had experienced complex post-traumatic stress disorder as a result of childhood trauma. Williams lived in a suburban, semi-detached house with her older sister, brother, half-brother, mother, and stepfather. Home videos show a fun-loving teenager making kooky jokes with her sister. She was hardworking, holding down 3 jobs, in a care home, a pub, and a nightclub. But something changed. She became distant, moving out of her family home aged 18. Family, friends, and work colleagues all noticed the same thing. She was regularly turning up with injuries. Williams' sister Lucy told her she was going to go to the police to report the injuries, but Williams warned her off, saying, "It'll bring more trouble. You don't understand. You don't know what's going to happen." Lucy filmed threatening messages coming in on her sister's phone via Snapchat. Sometimes they included images of knives, machetes, and guns. Jason Farrell. Williams would go missing and turn up in other towns, seemingly drunk or on drugs. So, were all these injuries self-inflicted? It was the prosecution case that they were. And often when she was found apparently drunk and drugged, police believed she was putting it on. Having been at the trial, our team lays out the crucial evidence that shows how the jury at Preston Crown Court came to its verdict. That she had inflicted the wounds on herself using a hammer she bought just over a week earlier in Tesco. At the heart of it all, this enigmatic young woman is now sitting in a prison cell. But how did an English town become riven with such bitter division over one person's claims? Why did she create such a web of intrigue? And as lies layered on top of other lies, what strange truth was hidden beneath? "Sorry I haven't replied," Williams wrote. "I've been really busy, and I know it sounds crazy because I'm in jail, but I have just started working here for an outside company, and I have a reception orderly job as well, so I'm working from 8.30 to 8.30 every day, and never seem to have a moment spare. She tells me she's learning to drive forklift trucks and that she loves her new job. I'm okay now," she wrote. "The trial was hard, but I'm moving forward now. Just working hard to make the days go quicker, and I'll be out of here soon enough." The overall impression is of a young woman who is trying to keep her head down, stay busy, and look to the future. Williams' mother, Alison Johnston, says she and her daughter have discussed Eleanor changing her name and moving away from Barrow when she is released, but she thinks she'll want to be back with her family. And in one of her emails, Williams writes about knitting a hat and mittens for her sister's baby, adding, "I've done a little crochet puppy teddy and a hand-drawn nursery rhyme book. I can't ask her about the case. There are strict rules about prisoners communicating with journalists. They're not allowed to discuss their crimes. But every now and then, Williams lets on that it still plays on her mind. Not many people want to hear my side of the story, and no one ever has," she wrote. "The media only says what sells and not the rest of it." Williams did give her story in police interviews, but it was contradicted by CCTV, phone records, expert witnesses, and online activity. And she did testify at her trial, but the jury didn't believe her. Much has been written about Williams without ever really answering the fundamental question. Why did she, a seemingly normal young woman, create such an elaborate lie? Our new podcast series, Unreliable Witness, delves deep into the background of this case. We speak to those closest to her, the police investigators and those most impacted by her allegations, in an attempt to find out